So you're standing in full sunlight. It doesn't look like you're in a storm, right? So their solution to the lighting problem was these super powerful electric lamps that overexpose the actors, right?
Okay.
Forcing them to lower the exposure on the camera to make the background look dark.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. Sounds like a great idea, right?
Loving these lights, you guys. I am glowing like an angel over here.
First day they do this, Paxton and Hunt finish a day's worth of work, and they go back to their trailers, and they start going blind.
No. Oh my God.
What?
Because they were just blasting them with light?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Imagine filming for hours with the super sun.
Yeah, with the super sun. And it basically sunburned their eyeballs.
Making stuff is hard,
Especially in the entertainment world.
Where big egos, bigger budgets,
and just plain bad luck.
Can make things go horribly wrong.
and we're going behind the scenes of these disastrous
Never-ending,
And often dangerous productions.
to find out why.
it was a shit show.
Thank you again for joining us. This is It Was a Shit Show. I'm Ian Fartswallow. We are coming to you live in the aftermath of some sort of tornado, a twister, if you will. With me in the studio is Jenny Ray Diane St. Germain.
Hello.
Do you have any initial thoughts for us, Jenny Ray?
My initial thoughts are it is windy outside, Ian. There seems to be some kind of weather event happening. And I also am baffled. I've never seen something of this magnitude before. So, really just learning new information as the event transpires.
We are going to go now to our man in the field who is currently sheltered inside of a basement in rural Utah, Clint Grover Hurtado. Clint, what can you tell us?
Thanks, Ian. It's really windy out here.
In the basement.
There's lots of cracks in the foundation. The devastation is incredible. I've seen cows flying overhead. A tractor almost beamed me, but a hubcap did slice my forehead. So I do need some medical attention if you could send somebody out, because I am out here all by myself.
We don't have time for that. We have to go to commercial now. But stay with us as we continue to discuss today's topic.
Street signs coming!
Twister.
I couldn't have been happier making the film. Now, Jan is a very physical guy. He's pushing himself as hard as he'll push his crew and his actors. But I admired that, and I find that's exciting to me. It's a very tough thing making a movie like this. You have got to be up for the challenge. It's going to test your physical endurance. It's going to test your patience. It's going to test everything. You're fighting the schedule, the weather.
Bill Paxton, I knew the physical difficulties you would run into in making the movie. So I needed an actor, who was not a whiner.
All right. Well, there you go. We revived our characters from Independence Day.
Love it.
Clint, what do you got for your closet?
Well, I love my 3D printer, because if I can't think of anything, I just print something. And this happens to be something that I've wanted to print it for a long time. So it's got a connection to Bill Paxton.
Of course.
It's my 3D printed face hugger.
Ooh.
It's a print in place bad boy, so it's all, you can hear it all jingly jangly. Wow. It's, not to scale, right? This could maybe do like a Cabbage Patch doll.
That could hug your nostril.
Yeah, right. So, but I used my glow in the dark filament, so this sucker will glow in the dark. But yeah, little face hugger.
Dude, that's rad.
Game over, man. Game over.
Game over. We were just talking about how we've been watching a lot of movies with Bill Paxton lately.
Yeah. So I'm working on the Alien video right now. And yeah, so we've watched 4 Bill Paxton movies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we watched Terminator.
Yeah, so we watched Tombstone, then we watched Terminator.
Oh, yeah.
And he shows up for half a second in that. And then we watched Twister, and then we watched Aliens.
Yeah, so we're just like, Bill Paxton.
One might even say you're just like on a Bill Paxton kick. Just
Yeah.
I mean, I would never be on a Bill Paxton kick, because I think he's a very charming, seems like a lovely guy. Rest in peace. But he is not a great actor.
I agree. He's fun to watch, but not because he's good.
Yeah. He has a severe case of acting voice. Okay.
That would be me. That would definitely be me if I was like a serious.
Oh no,
professional-
that is a twister.
Yeah, exactly.
He wasn't
Okay.
that bad in Twister.
I know. Okay. The entire idea for Twister started as a challenge from Steven Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy to Industrial Light and Magic. Can you make a realistic tornado? So this idea starts off as a VFX challenge, not a script.
Not a movie.
Which is probably not the best way
Yeah.
to start a movie.
Yes. This task falls into the hands of VFX supervisor Stefan Thingmeyer, who goes out with Dennis Muren to shoot a test. Now, this is around 93. Now, Dennis Muren is the creative director of ILM, and he had won 7 Oscars by that point. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Temple of Doom, Inner Space, The Abyss, Terminator 2, and Jurassic Park. So these are the guys, if they're going to make realistic twisters, tornadoes. Like,
all
these
the
are guys.
movies that everybody knows for special effects.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
If they can make a fucking dinosaur, they can make a Twister. Okay?
yeah, just some swirls.
Yeah.
They instantly knew this was like this was only going to be doable in CGI. So together they shot this test where a truck driver runs into a giant tornado and a tractor is thrown to the ground and its wheel flies into the windshield. Now, if you've seen the trailer to Twister, this shot is in the trailer, but it's not in the movie at all.
They should sue them.
Yes.
I thought I was going to get a truck tire to the windshield, and I didn't get that.
Also, Ana de Armas
I
wasn't
was
in
not
this.
in
Yeah.
it.
She was like 2 years old.
Yeah, right. Back at ILM, Habib Zargapur is given the task to make realistic tornadoes, and he got the job because he did the green mist tornadoes in The Mask with Jim Carrey.
Oh.
So
Hey, you got tornado experience.
yeah, pretty much, right?
He's like, cartoon tornadoes, realistic tornadoes, that's a whole different ballgame.
Hey, if you could tackle that, you could tackle the Tasmanian Devil and Twister.
yeah, Taz is brown, so you're just combining the
halfway
two.
there.
Exactly.
It takes 10 weeks. They give it to Spielberg and Kennedy, and they take this test to the studios. And they show it to them, and they immediately greenlight a project, even though a script doesn't exist.
They were so confident that they could just write a tornado-based script that they're like, the script doesn't matter. As long as the visual
right?
effects look good, people will watch it.
Yeah. The script was written by Michael Crichton and his then wife, Anne-Marie Martin. Crichton and Martin based the screenplay on a PBS documentary about real tornado chasers and the 1940s classic His Girl Friday, directed by Howard Hawks, starring Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell. If you've never seen it, it's actually a really funny movie.
It's about tornado chasers?
It's basically the same kind of setup where one is getting divorced and the other one's not kind of like letting it happen.
I see.
And the banter between the two of them.
But with tornadoes.
yeah, we add a tornado in the middle of it.
You ever seen My Girl Friday? Yes, at a tornado.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
the
much.
pitch.
That's the pitch.
They started writing this in 1994. Now, let's put a big asterisk on everything we've just discussed, and remember that.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Michael Crichton, his
Scrims,
then wife,
My Girl Friday.
My Girl Friday. Okay,
Twisters.
Twister, the banter,
Tornado.
Bill Paxton acting voice. Okay,
Okay. To direct, Spielberg wanted Jan de Bont after the success of his debut film, Speed.
so fucking good.
So, cinematographer, he was like a cinematographer on like stuff like Die Hard, Hunt for the Red October, Jewel of the Nile,
Oh, yeah.
and
hold on.
Oh, man. Was it one we just talked about? Was it a Beverly Hills Cop?
Independence Day.
no, go all the way back.
Roar.
Roar!
He was a cinematographer on Roar.
For Roar.
So I love that Jan de Bont was just like, if I can make a movie with lions and tigers, I can make a fucking movie with twisters.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's not even any real twisters on there, so I think I'm all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. De Bont spent the last 6 months working on Godzilla at this point, but he left after the budget fights with the studio, and so he was now free. And him and Spielberg got talking. He signed on. De Bont felt the script needed better dialogue, while the studios felt the script needed more exposition to explain what was going on. Hence the Melissa character, who's constantly kind of asking questions, and they're kind of telling her
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that. And de Bont hated this exposition because to him, any good movie, things would explain themselves as the film went on.
Right.
So you wouldn't need all that. But I think it kind of works. And
Right. Like she's a normal coming into the situation and is like the lens through which the audience watches the movie.
Yeah, it's the companion to Doctor Who sort of scenario.
yeah, that nerd reference.
Yeah. There are people out there who'd be like, oh, yeah, totally get what Clint's
yes,
saying.
Of course. The doctor's assistant or whatever.
Okay. So for the rewrite, they get Joss Whedon.
What?
He did an uncredited rewrite on de Bont's Speed as well, and a majority of Speed is actually Joss Whedon.
Interesting.
So he was brought in to punch up the script, and he worked on it in the spring of 1995. Gets bronchitis, has to leave.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So he leaves. Then they bring in Steve Zalian. Now, he just did Schindler's List for Spielberg. He worked on it for 3 weeks at the behest of the studios, and he was just sitting there faxing all his changes to de Bont, who just didn't read any of it.
Oh, wow.
And Zalian says not a word he wrote made it onto the screen.
Is this fax machine just go
like,
directly into the trash?
Shredder.
Jan de Bont's like, what is this? I'm getting a phone call, but paper's coming out?
He doesn't understand.
He doesn't know what a fax machine is. He just keeps answering the phone
Hello?
when it rings,
God,
so the
you gotta
fax
stop
never
doing that.
the fax never comes through.
Yeah. It's just a bunch of beeps and boops.
Kids, Google fax machine.
Yeah.
Now you'll get all these jokes.
Then Joss Whedon comes back, and he works on it till filming began in May of 1995, and then leaves immediately again to get married. Spoiler alert, that marriage doesn't work out.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. Whedon says some of his dialogue made it, some of it as intended. Now, if you know Whedon, he has a big chip on his shoulder about the dialogue he's written from all these kinds of movies where he was a script doctor, everything from Alien Resurrection
just gonna say Alien
or
Resurrection.
Waterworld, where he gives them these lines and he wants it to be read in a very specific way for the joke to work, and then they don't say it that way, and it just drives him nuts. 2 weeks in, Jeff Nathanson, who was at that point, he was a story guy at Mad About You, which is what Helen Hunt was in the TV show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, great.
Paul Reiser.
Great show. Oh my god, we've watched a weird amount of Paul Reiser movies too. Like
'cause
him and
you-
Bill
'cause-
Paxton.
Yeah,
like
because you watched
had a-
Aliens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
And
Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, I know. It was weird. So yeah, Jeff Nathanson was on Mad About You, and then he came in to rewrite just car scenes, just the stuff that they're saying in the middle while they're driving around.
Okay.
This guy really he's great at road trip dialogue. You got to get him in there.
He can do car dialogue.
Yeah.
He's really good.
He just
typecast.
understands the unique psychology of two people when they're sitting in a car and have to talk to each other. It's a different scenario.
This is Jan de Bont about the writers.
We had good writers, but all the versions I read were like the versions of older action movies because that's what they knew. They didn't understand that the idea of this movie was that action events are taking place in the background of dialogue scenes.
So he's basically saying the action of this movie is going to be so different that because there's all the dialogue is happening while the action is happening. I don't know if that's true, but
Well, a lot of the action, quote, action was, and the dialogue that is happening, quote, at the same time, was them driving towards the tornado.
yeah,
Tornadoes,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And
nothing was happening yet.
Well, and then even then when they're setting up shit, right?
Let's go, come on.
pressure, let's go, come on.
Let's go, come on.
And but this explains why there are very few stuntmen in the movie. I don't know if you noticed, but there's only 6 or 7 people. And you're for how much shit happens in that movie?
Yeah.
There's only that many stuntmen? And it's because so many of the actors just had to be there saying all that shit
Yeah.
while they threw hail at them.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, just fistfuls of hail? Just two guys standing off camera, just throwing small ice balls?
Buckets. So there's
Kind of. You kind of have to watch the making of it because it's kind of crazy because it's just this caravan of the truck, another truck with a jet engine firing at them, so it has the wind, right? And then another truck that's doing rain and debris. And then like for the ice one, they just like were basically grinding ice and just throwing it at them.
It's like like
wow.
an industrial snow cone machine.
Yeah,
Go,
pretty
go,
much.
go.
This is pretty real. I don't have to do a lot of acting in this movie. You know, they're raining basically chipped ice on me. They're throwing debris. I mean, although it's lightweight stuff, it still hits, it still hurts.
The tornadoes are going to be CG, but everything else practical.
Yeah, no, okay. We're going to jump into that.
We're so good at this podcast.
To simulate wind on set, they had 2 jet engines on the back of trucks. So and it was just like Boeing like 707 or something like that. And it was just, yeah, I know. This is before times.
This is when they actually checked their shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
So the first day of filming with this setup, they're like, okay, cool. We'll just set up the jet engines. Everybody just stand around. And then they're like, well, we got to it's a tornado. We got to throw environment into it, right? So they just throw shit ton of dust into the jet engine. Immediately goes into everybody's eye.
Oh yeah, it blinds everybody.
Yeah.
Just like this tiny shrapnel in your retina. It's just
Directly into
like
your eyeball.
shreds them to pieces.
They're like, throw some leaves in there. How about some branches? Some small
Put a
rocks.
pin in that.
Oh,
Okay, so immediately they get all this shit in their eyes, and they're like, ILM's like, okay, well, that's another thing that we're gonna have to do digitally, like
CG
that we
dust.
didn't. Yeah, we just didn't realize that we had to do. And then they location scouted where they wanted to shoot all the cars and where the tornadoes would be, but they planted trees along the road to kind of like give it kind of a dynamic kind of look that the tornado's behind the trees.
Mm-hmm.
What's immediately wrong with that? Rotoscoping a tree is a
Is a
son
pain
of
in the
bitch.
ass. Yeah.
Literally sitting there cutting out all between all the leaves and getting the tornado to fit. So they planted all these trees, and they were like, this will be so impossible to cut out in between the trees. So they were like, well, fuck. So they just went through and removed all the trees and then put in digital ones. So throughout that movie, there's a lot of digital trees that you just don't notice.
after they digitally
Oh,
removed
that's
trees.
impressive. That's
So they planted trees.
Yes.
Did they remove those trees physically, or
No,
did they? So
no.
those trees are there filming.
Yes.
And they're like, "Fuck,
Yes.
let's remove them digitally and put them back in digitally."
Yes. Filmed in Oklahoma and Iowa during tornado season, one of the biggest problems with the movie was the inconsistent weather.
I thought you say it was dealing with actual tornadoes.
Tornadoes.
Yeah, no, they had like a couple of moments where like it would get kind of like to that point, and it never happened. But this also meant like the light on any given day would be especially wrong. So like they're supposed to be reacting to a storm, and it was just bright blue sky day,
beautiful
right?
day.
So ILM had to start going, well, now we got to put clouds in the background, because it's just like you can't control that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So their solution to the lighting problem was, so you're standing in full sunlight, it doesn't look like you're in a storm, right? So they're like, okay, how do we fake this? So their solution to the lighting problem was these super powerful electric lamps that overexpose the actors, right?
Okay.
Forcing them to lower the exposure on the camera to make the background look dark.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. So sounds like a great idea, right? First day they do this. Paxton and Hunt finish a day's worth of work, and they go back to their trailers, and they start going blind.
No. Oh my God.
What?
Because they were just blasting them with light.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Clint, you're going to be our Bill Paxton.
Those lights, they were like sunballs. These things literally sunburned our eyeballs. I go back to my room, I couldn't see.
Holy shit. Yeah.
So fucked.
Dude.
Can you imagine? It's like, oh, that was a good day. Where am I?
Yeah. Hey, but we got the shot.
Yeah. Looks great. Looks
Well,
super stormy in the
you
background.
like, if you're out in the sun, like you're working in the yard, right? And you're out there for hours, maybe you don't have a hat on, maybe you don't have sunglasses on, you just figure you're going to be out there for a few minutes, you end up out there for like a half hour to an hour.
Yeah.
And
a
then
little bit longer than what you were expecting.
And then, I've done this, and I go into like the garage to put tools away, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I
Why is
can't
it so
see.
dark in
Yeah,
here?
like when
Yeah.
you walk it. Yeah. So imagine,
Imagine filming for hours with the super sun.
Yeah, with the super sun. And it basically sunburned their eyeballs. And so they were a
Is that
couple
like
weeks.
like sunburned eyeballs. I just imagine just like gross, like red and peeling after a while.
Peel your eyeball.
Ew. Let's put some aloe vera drops in there.
Hey, what's with the sunglasses? Oh, I sunburned my eyeballs.
Yeah,
For sure.
So they had like a whole bunch of eye doctors come in, and like there was no permanent damage, but like for a week or two, they consistently had to use these eye drops and wear those old people total UV blocking.
Yes.
And so they would just hold on to those, and then as soon as like, okay, it's time to roll, then they would take it off and act, and and then put it right back on.
They'd get blasted in the eyeballs with like sun
sand.
again, and then they'd have to put it right back on.
So they figured out if they put like some plexiglass over the lamps, it worked.
Okay.
So they continually did that process to make it kind of
The background looks stormy.
Yeah. Everyone got repeatedly pummeled throughout filming, especially filming the hail. But Helen Hunt was like, she thinks it worked better that they did it this way than having ILM do that as well.
Yeah, method hail.
Yeah.
Method hail.
Ray, you're going to be Helen Hunt.
Looking back, it's all for the best that there wasn't the technology to do it all on your laptop. Instead, they just pummeled the shit out of us, and it looks amazing. And while it made it messier, it made it easier to act.
Yeah.
Method hail!
Yeah, for sure. Method hail. Method wind. Method sand. Method hail.
Yep.
But not method dust.
Not method dust.
No,
Yeah,
no,
get in
no,
your
no.
eyes.
That's a step too
or
far.
method tornadoes.
Yeah.
Because that's what the whole bet hinges on.
So Hunt also would like repeatedly like would get hurt. Lots of hitting her head. When they were like under the bridge, she would just like underestimate how short it is and bonk her head a whole bunch. And then like when they were in the cornfield, again, like that's a shot of them actually getting out of the car and pushing the doors against the corn.
Yeah.
Right. Not stuntmen. And she was trying to do it and then was like let go, and then the door hit her on the head. This is de Bont on Helen Hunt's repeated injuries.
I love Helen to death, but she can also be a little bit clumsy.
This is Helen Hunt's response.
Clumsy? The guy burned my retinas, but I'm clumsy. I thought I was a good sport.
Of course she's clumsy. She can't see where the hell she's going.
You burned the shit out of her retinas, my dude.
Come on, de Bont.
I love that he's like, now push this moving car door open in a cornfield, and
something
something
difficult,
happens, and he's like, well, don't be so clumsy then. It's just like, what?
Bitch, have you ever tried to open up a car door in a cornfield going 35 miles an hour? I don't think so.
Come on, de Bont. Fuck.
Okay, so actors aside, tensions brewed between de Bont and director of photography Don Burgess, who just did Forrest Gump. Because as Burgess says, de Bont didn't know what he wanted until he saw it. So de Bont would frequently want to move setups like at a moment's notice. And de Bont kind of explains it as like, it's not dark and stormy over here. It is over here now. Like, let's move all your shit. Like, let's go over here. Like, and
pivot.
Mm-hmm. And he wanted to move real fast. And
he did a movie called Speed.
Yes.
He wants things to be fast.
He's on cocaine all the time.
No, he's on speed.
Yeah, speed. That makes way more
There
sense.
you go.
But Burgess says like everything was the crew's fault, never de Bont's. And de Bont called Burgess's team incompetent.
I think that would be hard because Jan de Bont is normally a cinematographer, right? Like was this the first movie? No, second movie he directed. Yeah. So I think it would be hard where it's like the job you normally do, but now you're doing a different job, like not to micromanage.
I know how to do this.
Yeah, just like, bro, I know this is easier than you're saying that it is, so just move the fucking camera or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely annoying for the cinematographer. But I'm just saying that like I could imagine that if that was the job you normally did on a set, you would be very like micromanagey of that job.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be so hard and difficult to be a director. I can't even imagine. But like, bro, you're not going to get anywhere by calling not this guy's crew, but your crew because they're part of your movie.
Yeah.
Like calling them incompetent, like you're not going to get anywhere with that.
Yeah. The thing that's the most annoying to me about that is that nothing was ever nothing was ever his fault. It was always everyone else's. I hate that because it's like at the end of the day, you're the fucking captain of that ship, my dude. Like you're the one who is responsible for stuff. So if something's not going right, like it is your fault.
Yeah.
for whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the reason. Like, you are in charge of that.
Oh, here we go, guys.
Oh, let's get him.
I'm coming for you.
At one point, shooting the scene in the ditch, a camera assistant walks in front of the camera.
What?
Yeah, because it's like whatever was going on, like the camera assistant was probably like just trying to get out of the way, whatever actually happened.
Yeah.
But he walked in front of the camera, and de Bont just shoved him to like just be like, get the fuck out of the way kind of thing. Shoves him into the mud. The guy trips, falls into the mud, and he refused to apologize.
Rude.
This is what de Bont said about this.
I cued action, and he walked right in the middle of the scene. We kept losing good performances because of stupid things like that. I don't think I'm a hothead, but I do believe you have to be passionate. These crews get paid well, and when they screw up, I'm going to call them out on it. There's a difference between calling them out on it and like shoving them in the mud.
I did imagine, though, like, when you said a camera assistant walked in front of the camera, that he's just, like, holding, like, a coffee and a donut, and he's just, like, strolling over here. He's like, are you guys shooting a movie? Like, but that's probably not how it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah. It was probably like a random thing where he was just
Yeah.
like, oh, I need to get over here,
Yeah.
and then, like, just try to, like, did that awkward, like, duck thing, and then he was probably just on the lower end of the
Right.
frame.
You just see, like, the top of his head, like,
The top
go
of that is
through.
like a production house. It just says Twister as he's walking by.
I survived Twister.
That's hard because it's like I can see both sides where it's frustrating if you have someone on set who's just kind of making like dumb mistakes like that because it's expensive. Like
Yes.
doing a movie is expensive. And so constant dumb mistakes can actually cost you a lot of time and cost you a lot of money. But also like people make mistakes and you have to have a certain amount of grace and just be like, listen, we gotta like curb these mistakes, you know. But like, yeah, shoving him down and then just not apologizing for it is just like, damn, bro.
So, Burgess and his entire team quit.
Whoa! I told you. I had a feeling that would happen.
Yeah.
Then the sound guys join in.
Oh shit!
Then the wardrobe department.
Okay.
Is he just shoving everybody?
They're 5 weeks in, and half of his team is just
It's a mutiny.
mutiny.
Wow.
Oh my God. They're all covered in mud. They're like, we won't stand for this. We won't stand for this.
Sorry, I'm slinging mud at you.
Yeah.
And he's like, point that at the actors. We'll get it on the camera.
There's just-
Might as well get something out of this.
yeah, protesting for his own benefit.
The next day, a private jet arrives, whose single passenger,
Steven Spielberg.
Oh my God.
Steven Spielberg.
Oh,
Oh, Papa Steven.
Ray, this is stunt coordinator Mick Rogers about what happened.
I just imagine when Steven Spielberg lands, like the E.T. theme just like starts playing like on loudspeakers.
No, it's Close Encounters. God damn it, what is it? Yeah.
Close Encounters of the Spielberg
Oh
kind.
no! When he's pissed, it's the Jaws theme.
Yeah.
Dun-na. Oh God.
Was it Steven Spielberg?
Steven's close.
He just has it like on a car. Just
Dun-na.
Like on Blues Brothers.
Yeah, and so you just hear him coming fucking like miles away. Kind of like Philip Seymour Hoffman's van.
Yes.
Oh, when we were watching we were watching Twister, it struck me how similar their little caravan was to like a Mad Max caravan.
Oh yeah.
And so I turned to Ian and I was like, Philip Seymour Hoffman is their doof wagon.
yeah.
He's their doof wagon. Like he's just like blasting the music.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what stunt coordinator Mick Rogers had to say when
Spielberg showed up.
the Jaws theme started to play. The ramp came down on the Learjet, and Spielberg walked down it, and he never touched the ground. He just stood there yelling at Jan. He never even got off the plane. He was just fucking yelling, pointing his finger at him, screaming at him. I don't know what he said to him, but he barked at him for like 15 minutes and got back in the plane. The plane left without him even stepping off.
What a boss
That
move.
is so fucking boss.
That's
He's like,
amazing. Could you imagine just like from either perspective? Someone like you're on the tarmac and someone's yelling at you and they don't even like they come in on a plane, they don't even step foot on the actual ground and just fly off.
They're standing on the stairs, so they're taller, right? So they're literally talking down to you.
Yeah.
power move.
That is such a power move.
And how he started that yelling session was, listen, Jan, if I have to get off this fucking plane,
Yeah.
it's going to cost your production $10 million, so I'm
Seriously.
not going to step a foot on the ground.
Man,
Saving your ass right now.
I also love that too because every time I see Spielberg in an interview, he just seems like the coolest, most chillest, nicest dude, right? And then like to hear the story, who's just like pointing his finger at him, just fucking yelling at him. Oh, that's amazing.
Put a pin on that one. Too.
Oh my God. Okay. Here we go. That's 2 pins I got
We
right.
have so many pins.
I know,
don't
I try
how
to keep track of
all these pins. We've got like a murder board of
Exactly.
pins.
Get their red
Mental
yarn
murder
from one
board.
to the other.
Okay, so an arrangement was made that Burgess and his team would stay on for 1 more week until they were replaced by Jack Green, who at this point had done 6 films for Clint Eastwood. Fast forward to towards the end of production, 2 days before finishing filming, they are on the set of the destroyed house of Aunt Meg, right? Which is meant to collapse with the press of a button. Jack Green is inside when it is accidentally triggered.
No way.
God, no.
He is hospitalized for head and back injuries. I think it was probably one of those floorboards that's like supposed to fall down really hard and
What was
hit
that?
on his head or
What was
like-
that camera assistant
I
who
was
walked by something and just like triggered something?
Just see his head again, and then boop, and then the whole house just falls down. He's like, "Sorry."
How dare you replace me?
Yeah, exactly.
So 2 days left. De Bont's like, fuck it, I'll just take over.
So he shot his own movie.
Well, he shot the last 2 days.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
that's fine. He's like,
Yeah.
"Look, I can do this job. I'll just do both jobs."
yeah.
God damn it.
So De Bont
I directed Speed.
De Bont insists that he was not abusive on set, but efficient.
Yeah.
It's a fine line. It's a very fine line.
Yeah. So even after everything they went through, Helen Hunt says the movie works because of De Bont, saying that he made an intense action movie without any guns. And it's like, oh, that's very true.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I remember really liking this movie as a kid, and as I was watching it, I forgot like 50% of it, and I'm watching it again like it's the first time. I'm like, this is a fun movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
it's
get into
great.
it. It's great. Spoiler alert, it's great. This is Bill Paxton on the shoot.
Sure, there were hardships. You don't put a story like this on screen without paying the freight. Rumors may abound, but come next summer, we're gonna blow them away. Oh, Bill!
Like a tornado.
Oh yeah, if you didn't get it.
That's a tornado pun.
Oh, Bill Paxton. God love him.
I just want to say though, can you imagine if they did? This is gonna be Twisters 3. They give guns to the tornadoes.
Yeah, right?
This summer, Mother Nature fights back.
Yeah.
It's just like goes through a gun factory.
Yeah,
just-
It's like shark.
Guns are
Jesus
loaded in a
Christ.
gun factory.
Yeah, they come preloaded.
Everything's separate, right? And then like the wind picks up the bullets and loads the magazine, and then the magazine gets into the wind blows the magazine into the
Okay,
gun.
that's too unrealistic.
That's a few too many asks.
That's too many asks, Clint. But a
I just
preloaded gun factory.
Yeah,
I just want a
accept
tornado to go through Bullet Farm from Mad Max, and
Oh
then
my
it'll
God.
just
Well,
that'll
yeah,
work.
you're right.
Yeah.
They don't need the guns. They just need to go through a bullet
The
factory, and they'll
bullets.
just get propelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
There you
the
go.
it's just the speed of which it
There
comes
you
at
go.
you. The film finished at a budget of $70 million, but post-production pushed it up to $90 million.
Okay. $20 million worth of CG trees.
Yeah.
CG landscaping.
Yep.
Yeah. ILM really geeked out at the challenge of having a movie projector project onto one of their CGI tornadoes. They just loved the idea of this challenge. And De Bont was like, well, now it has to be The Shining, and the tornado has to destroy the screen as the moment Jack breaks through with his axe.
I noticed that, and I was like, that is
Oh.
so fucking cool. I
The scene
love
at
that.
The drive-in.
The drive-in. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. In late March, less than 2 months from the film opening, they reshot the ending of the first scene because Joe's father actually survives that situation. They all just run inside into the shelter and they all survive. Spielberg watches a rough cut of the movie and he's like, wait a minute, like you should have the dad die, and it makes all of the rest of Joe's arc make way more sense.
Right.
Like her whole thing about like
Her
you-
being obsessive about tornadoes and
Yeah.
saving people from tornadoes. Yeah.
and especially her line of like skip this one, and come for you. Like it makes way more sense that she has tragedy in her life.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
So they did a real quick reshoot of just having the dad get pulled out the cellar door.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because I was like slightly annoyed during that scene at just like, why are you trying to hold the door shut? It's not gonna work. Like
Yeah.
he's like, oh, if I just hold on tight enough, this will stay closed. It's like, motherfucker, you're gonna get sucked up into that tornado.
Yeah.
Just go back down into the shelter, you dumbass.
Well, and also it's also proof too that like if the door is gone, like you can still survive in that cellar because
Yeah.
the mom and Joe did.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And so it's like, why are you trying to hold the door closed? That's like a big sail. Like if wind catches that door, like whoo, like you're gone.
Like he did. Like
yeah,
he did.
like he did. Anyway, that whole scene, I was just like, and so it makes sense that they were just like, well, the dad just needs to die, so we'll just
kill the dad.
we'll just kill him off.
Kill him. Do you remember our big asterisk?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of pins and
God,
asterisks.
let me follow.
Not a
this.
pin, an asterisk.
It, all the things we talked about of like the whole reason the movie was made was as a bet between Spielberg and Kennedy.
Well, we embellished the bet. It was
Yeah.
a challenge to see if they could
A
do
challenge.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's true. That's
Yes.
true. We don't know. We cannot prove that there was
It was
money
not-
riding
yeah,
on
that's
this.
right.
But there was a challenge that was issued about whether or not they could make a realistic tornado with visual effects, and that was like the impetus for this movie.
Yeah.
Yes. And also that the first script was written by Michael Crichton
That's right. Michael Crichton and then wife.
and his wife.
Yeah.
Okay. In early 1996, writer Daniel Perkins sued Warner Brothers and Universal for copyright infringement because of his 1989 script, Tornado Chasers,
Whoa.
about the military trying to weaponize tornadoes.
What we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Give them some guns. Now I'm going to sue for copyright infringement.
Yeah, that's my idea.
8 days before the film was released, Perkins settled with the studios for an undisclosed amount of money, which he said he was happy with.
Oh, so it was real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
They wouldn't
That's-
settle if it wasn't a real thing.
Okay.
And that was from 89.
Mm-hmm.
And Spielberg gave this challenge in early 90s. So we're going to get back to this. Put a pin in that.
Man, Spielberg's just flying all over the place, just messing with people.
Okay. Twister opened May 10th, 1996. The film was meant to open the same day as Mission Impossible, the first Mission Impossible movie, but was moved up 2 weeks in hopes of avoiding the competition. Warner Brothers guessed that the movie would open to like about 22 million. It grossed 41 million on its opening weekend.
Nice.
So
Wow.
double what they were thinking. It was the 6th biggest opening in film history and only dropped 10% on its second weekend, which was a crazy record that they held for like 15 years.
Nice.
Wow.
Grossed 241 million in the United States, 494 million worldwide. It was the second highest grossing film of 1996 behind
Mission Impossible. No.
Jurassic Park.
Independence Day.
Oh,
Rotten Tomatoes, 66% with critics, 58% with audiences.
That's low.
I completely agree.
that is wild. I
Get your
had
shit
such
together.
a fun time
I
watching
did
this movie.
too.
This movie is great.
It is so good.
Yeah.
Like the
It's
wacky cast
the
of characters.
6th time I've seen it, and I haven't seen it in such a long time, but it was just like, this movie's fun.
It's very fun.
Yeah. I told him that kind of ensemble cast is incredibly hard to do, where you just have a lot of different characters. They're all kind of like quirky, unique personalities, and you have to kind of establish their relationship and how they like the group becomes a character, but then also trying to like highlight all of the individual characters within that group and like make people care about them. That's really hard to do, and this movie does it so efficiently. Like
Yeah,
to use
not
Jan de
abusively.
Bont's word, yeah, not exactly. But like it's just so good. That's shockingly low to me.
yeah,
That's
like 58% is technically rotten for the
That's
audience
so
side.
insane.
Weird.
And I would not consider this a bad
No.
movie.
I mean-
68 or 58% is just like, it's fine. But I don't.
Movie's
Yeah, I don't
great.
agree with either.
It's I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching it because like you have, like I've seen it so many times when I was younger, and it's been probably a good 20 years at least since I've seen it, and watching it again, I'm like, man,
holds up.
it definitely holds up.
It's very
so
silly.
fun.
It's
yeah.
so silly, but it is a lot of fun.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely dumb stuff in there. Like we were talking about the fact that they encountered 5 tornadoes in a 24-hour period, and you're just like, dude, that would be a fucking national emergency if that many tornadoes happened in one day. It's crazy.
That's the ask. It's
Yeah.
like, okay,
And you're
listen.
just,
okay.
it's like, all right,
I said, it's like
whatever.
there wouldn't be a movie without that.
Yeah.
So that's but it also like that they're like near death experiences with those tornadoes
Yeah,
every
yeah,
time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So there's definitely a lot of like stuff that you have to just kind of get over to watch it. But to your point earlier about that the action was a background to the dialogue, that movie does this so well where it's like it's this intense situation, there's a lot of actiony stuff happening, but it's really about the relationships between all the different characters.
Yeah.
And so like that's handled really well.
And a lot of it plays out through those scenes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really good. Shortly after the film released, that June, screenwriter and documentary filmmaker Stephen Kessler sues Warner Brothers and Universal for stealing his Oklahoma-based script, Catch the Wind.
Oh, that's a great title, actually.
He claimed that he sent this script to both studios, and among other, and Amblin as early as 1989, and includes 31 similarities to the final film. During the trial, Kessler's expert witness, I don't know what that means, kind of sandbags him. He's like, there's a lot of differences in the screenplay between the two of them, and that there was a script called Twister in circulation around the time he started writing Catch the Wind, which was 1989.
Okay.
That script by William Hauptmann, he based the script off his own novel, The Storm Season. He never sued because he said it was hard to win lawsuits like that.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard to win lawsuits like that.
Yeah, you have to, I mean, like, where you're saying, I wrote this versus this, and like, this is someone just took this and adapted it, like, or changed a line here and there. Kind of like, remember Paul Hogan was, rearranged all the letters or the words in Crocodile Dundee. And yeah, like, how do you determine that? And so he's like, I don't even want to get into that ring because it's just all going to blow up in my face.
One, it's expensive too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm going to spend all this money to try and win some money, and chances are I'm not even going to win it, so I'll just wasted money.
Yeah, and then you're also blackballed because you sued a studio. Right?
That's like me trying to sue Fox for the idea of 24 because I told my cousin, hey, this would be a good idea for a show where a whole season is one day and each episode is an hour. And then like a year later, like 24 coming on Fox. And I was like, I had that idea.
Yeah, and
that's like me trying to sue Fox.
Well, even then, that's also like how many people also have the same ideas.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people do kind of come up with those same ideas all the time.
Well, we've talked about this before when like and I think we said we wanted to do like a dueling blockbusters episode at some point, but like. It's like, what are the chances that they were doing 2 Jungle Book movies? And it's like, they're high. Like, those odds are very high that, like, 2 independent people were like, you know what I want to do a movie about? The Jungle Book. And, like, wrote scripts. Like, that shit happens all the time.
Yeah.
And so, like, especially if there were documentaries and things coming out about storm chasers and tornado chasers, and like this technology was kind of big and it was like in the zeitgeist. Yeah, of course, like some screenwriter might have been like, "Oh, that's an interesting. Yeah, I'm going to write a movie about a tornado." Yeah, you know,
with
it's
guns.
So
tornado with guns.
Yeah, no one's allowed to steal that idea. That's fucking gold. But like, yeah, the likelihood that like a handful of people wrote tornado scripts is super high. And so those are really hard lawsuits to win. But that's why I was like, that other guy who sued and they settled, I was like, okay, like that means there's something there.
There was, So for the lawsuit, Spielberg has to take the stand. And for the sake of winning the case.
But he did not get off the jet. He did not. The jet had to go past the courthouse. It opens. He's like, look, if I have to get off this plane, it's going to cost you guys $10 million in your lawsuit. So I'm just going to do it from here.
The plane's still going.
Yeah, the jets. I'm sorry, we cannot hear you.
Mr. Spielberg, you're gonna have to speak up. We can't hear you over the jet engines.
He's like, yeah, we totally stole the idea. It's like, see, you can clearly see he did not steal the idea.
Yeah. So he takes the stand, and just for the sake of winning the case, he states that the film was entirely all about the visual effects. From its inception, from the idea of making the movie, to its success. So basically saying that the movie would not have been successful with any of the actors or any of the writing. It was just this visual effects.
The part that he neglected to mention was that he was watching this guy's documentary and saying, I wonder how hard it would be to make that in visual effects.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt are in the courtroom with their sunburned eyeballs, like, oh, fuck you, Steven.
Was that Steven? I couldn't really see.
I couldn't see or hear what you were saying from being, my eardrums were blown out from jet engines. I have permanent retina damage.
And I'm suffering memory loss from the concussions I got from the hail.
Kessler's lawsuit sought all profits from the film.
Whoa, that is ambitious.
Right?
That's a little bit much, like my dude.
You got to start from like a power position, then you negotiate.
Then you negotiate down.
Oh, you only half the profits. Like, whoa, buddy.
Dude, you're dealing with Steven can't get off the jet Spielberg, okay? Like, come on.
It's going to say on his epitaph.
Yeah.
So deliberations ended in 1998. The jury took 2 hours, and Kessler lost. So
You asked for too much, bro.
I mean, this is kind of a hard one because it's kind of like, yeah, he sued, but then like, did he push too hard? Was it actually that similar? Like,
yeah,
the other guy sued and won, right? So,
but they settled. So like, it could have been a thing where he was just like, look, they're like, we don't want this to go to court. Like, we'll give you this much amount of money, and he was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. And
like, who knows,
But so then, like, Kessler just pushing that way too far. I don't know. It's kind of hard. Like, again, whose ideas are whose, and how do you determine that? It is fucking messy.
Well, yeah. And then if you get too many people, then it's gonna start turning into a class action. Everyone's just gonna be like, "Hey, you're gonna get to see those commercials on The Price is Right. Have you written a movie about tornadoes? Have you or a loved one suffered from writing about tornadoes?
Have you or a loved one ever thought about writing a movie about a tornado?
You may be entitled to a bit of the profits.
You may be entitled to 3 cents from this lawsuit."
Yeah.
So the whole premise of his thing, though, was that he wrote a screenplay that he basically says that they took as the basis of that.
Yeah.
And so he had specific points that were similar.
Yes. Yeah.
And so they must not have been similar enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then you also have the other guy who said he wrote one, and then the other guy. So you have 3 different people who all said that they wrote tornado scripts.
I mean,
and the whole thing about this is like at the beginning is, was it really an ILM test from the beginning?
Yeah.
Or was it that Spielberg saw those scripts and maybe put them down for a while and was like, well, we can't do that. The technology is not there yet. And then suddenly came back to it and he had those ideas there. Like,
who knows?
Well, like to Ray's point too about these kinds of lawsuits being so hard to win, because you could throw out so many different points of similarities. Like, well, there's tornadoes, wind blows, cars get lifted, things, debris is all around. Of course, like it's of course, like
there's a team.
You're going to be able to find a ton of similarities.
There's 2 central characters with a conflict. It's like, yeah, okay.
And
that's called a movie.
These actors, these 2 characters, they like each other.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And maybe they fall in love by the end. Yeah, it's called
Love
movie.
Is my idea. Well, then how can you make so many different movies about serial killers? Like, who do those rights just get circulated from studio to studio?
I mean, if it's a like public stuff,
if it's a public figure,
really
you can
do anything about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's make a movie about a serial killer tornado.
Oh yeah. Ooh yeah.
The cop that's like, I've been chasing him for years.
You never know when he's gonna pop up. He just pops into a town and wreaks havoc and then just disappears.
And it's only during a certain amount of time in the season.
Yeah. It's always the same MO. Barns destroyed,
Car's tipped over.
And I've discovered the only way to catch him is to become him.
Is to think like him.
Nicolas Cage is Twister.
He's Detective NATO. Tornado. Norwegian tornado serial killer detective.
Yeah.
Okay. At the 1997 Oscars, Twister lost Best Visual Effects to Independence Day.
But that was the whole thing.
Sitting in the audience, VFX supervisor Stefan Fangmeyer turned to Jan de Bont and jokingly said, "Well, next time, blow more shit up."
Yeah. Yeah. Not just a car and a truck.
Wait, here's an idea. Put an alien in your tornado.
Yes, they're
alien NATO.
Yeah, that's how
There
they
you go.
control it. That's how the people weaponize aliens.
There you go.
Before I get to quick facts, I discovered this. This was the last thing I discovered, and it was like, okay, we're never going to have another option to talk about this. Closing out our story with Spielberg and de Bont. So in 1996, Spielberg asked Stephen King to help make a remake of 1963's The Haunting. Didn't work out, but had a screenplay commissioned anyway. Before Twister came along, de Bont was currently developing an adaptation of Philip K. Dick's The Minority Report. Now, Tom Cruise and Spielberg had been wanting to make a film together since the 80s, and the two became available to make something, and they both really liked the idea of Minority Report. Since de Bont was busy with post-production on Twister, Spielberg offered an exchange. Spielberg would take Minority Report, and de Bont could have The Haunting. Both of these films would experience delays. De Bont made Speed 2 Cruise Control before doing The Haunting, which came out in 1999. Spielberg was an executive producer on The Haunting. It's the one with Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Owen Wilson.
Yeah, I like that one.
We'll get to that in a second.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen it, okay? But like, I remember this part in the movie where the cherubs like move their face. I'm like, oh, that's fucked up. Anyway, go ahead.
Spielberg was an executive producer, and de Bont confirms Spielberg was on set multiple times and de Bont alludes to him helping with a reshoot. Spielberg's name is nowhere on that film.
On The Haunting?
Oh, he pulled a fucking poltergeist. He Toby Hoopered him.
Well, I mean, he may, if he directed anything, he directed a scene.
Okay.
Right? But he removed his name from the credits. Okay. Spielberg would go on to make Lost World, Amistad, Saving Private Ryan, and AI before making Minority Report. When asked as to why Jan de Bont has a producer credit on Minority Report, Spielberg said, Jan never saw the movie, never visited the set, and never did any work on it at all. He simply had it in his deal that he was the producer. This is the whole thing about Hollywood deal making. If somebody has a deal to be a producer, he doesn't have to show up. He just gets his name on the screen.
I love the idea of Steven Spielberg just literally jet setting all around and just like directing scenes of movies he's like tangentially involved in, like from the stairs of a jet, like without even getting off.
That's amazing.
So,
and action. Takes off again.
Fucks off.
So, I think this is a very interesting thing. So, The Haunting is a terrible movie. You remember it wrong. That movie's garbage.
Wait, which one are we talking about? The one with
Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones. They're doing a sleep study. They go into a haunted house.
I don't know if I've ever even seen that.
Has
movie.
a lot of really 90s special effects in it.
I just remember those baby wooden cherubs, and that freaked me out.
It's not a great movie. Minority Report, great movie.
Very good movie.
But it's very telling that Jan was like, Spielberg removed his name, and Jan was like, "Oh no, he was there. He helped.
Yeah.
He was on set."
And he's like,
oh,
yeah. And then
I don't want
when
anything
his
to do with
name,
this.
and when his name, because he helped start Minority Report, his name is on that movie. Spielberg's like, "Fucking, why the hell is his name on my movie?"
Oh, he's like, I had the decency of removing my name from your piece of garbage shit Haunting, but you can't take your name off of my awesome, really cool sci-fi show.
But I do find it funny that like that they traded those movies for like, here, you can have this piece of shit. I'm gonna take Minority Report.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's very fascinating that those two never worked together again.
Yeah.
And de Bont has not made a movie since like early 2000s. So,
what was the last movie he made?
Lara Croft, Cradle of Life,
Okay.
the second Tomb Raider movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he's been doing since. I can't really find what he's doing.
Jan, get in touch. Let us know what you've been up to.
Yeah.
Yoo-hoo!
Yeah, he's just went back to what, Netherlands? That's where he's
Holland.
from.
Yeah. Okay. Random facts. Twister was the first theatrical film to be released on DVD. A rejected poster tagline, it sucks.
Oh, are you serious? That's amazing.
They're like,
That makes it feel like a parody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
that's like that would be like a tagline for Sharknado or Gunnado.
Yeah,
or,
Gunnado.
Or Tornado serial killer detective.
Yeah.
He sucks.
He sucks at his job,
yeah.
but he'll blow you away.
Yeah. Dorothy was based on a real device from 1979 called Totable Tornado Observatory. Looked very similar, but was meant to be a big 350-pound weight that would sit inside of a tornado and take measurements. It looked exactly like the same kind of canister, but nothing would come out of it. It was just as difficult to deploy as in the movie, but they had like this really fancy thing where it just like slid off the back of the truck and like with pulleys and stuff.
Oh, okay. You didn't have to get out and
Yeah.
And like unhook, like unwinch a strap and shit. Yeah.
But I mean, just like the new one and the old one, like just the idea of doing that is such a complicated situation, and it just have to be the right place at the right time. Like, and so they tried doing it for years, and it didn't really work. The digital cow was a modified model of the zebras from Jumanji.
Oh. So if you look really closely, there's like one frame where it's like some like horrific cow zebra hybrid.
Like animorphs, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like in between the two.
It's
of
going
them.
from zebra to cow.
Well, it's just like
And then
that
you can see
Simpsons.
Ron Williams in the background too.
Right. Well, it's just like that Simpsons joke we did once before with their painting the horses. Why don't
Yeah.
you just use horses? Cows don't look like cows on film. You got to use horses.
Digital cows don't look like cows. Digital zebras look like cows,
Yeah,
though.
digital zebras look more like cows than cows do.
Oprah had the cast on her show, and the actors discuss all the madness that they went through. They go to commercial, come back, and Oprah goes, "Now we're going to talk with real tornado survivors." Jenny Ray, this is Jamie Gertz being on Oprah.
Oh God, that's Oprah. Why'd you do that to them? Okay, Jamie Gertz says. So here are all these actors, these dopey actors on stage, and now we have these people who are like, I was burned, lightning hit me, and we're like, oh no, that didn't happen to us. Oh, it was just so humiliating.
That's pretty fucked up.
That's pretty
That
fucked
is
up.
fucked
That is
up.
like,
Well, especially when there's that line in the movie where they're like, I want to get hit by lightning just to see what it feels like.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, because for the actors, they're like, I'm just doing like a regular press thing. I gotta talk about this movie and like get people like interested in my movie, you know. And then it's just like, and now we'll talk to people who really went through this tragedy. Like that's very that is the definition of like 90s TV, though. I will say, like, I fucking swear, like every TV show is just like, gotcha.
Now zoom in on the cast as they squirm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Lastly, for Ray, Helen Hunt during a press interview.
I remember when I was doing press for the movie, some woman raised her hand and said, "Wouldn't she put her hair in a ponytail?" I said, "Screw you, don't get technical with me." You know, she had a point. Yes.
Yeah.
She abso-fucking-lutely has a point.
Yeah. It's Bryce Dallas Howard and Jurassic World all
All
over
over
again.
again. Take your fucking high heels off, put your hair in a ponytail.
I'm surprised you didn't mention that.
I really didn't. I think it was because she had such like a wall of 90s bangs that it felt like her hair wasn't in her face as much
okay.
as, like, because when like half the front of your hair is bangs, like it's not going to be in your face as much. So it was not as egregious to me, but she has a point for sure.
Okay. Was Twister worth it?
Well, I think we've already discussed that it's a very it's a good movie. We like it. Like
Yeah.
it's a fun movie. And it sounds too like even though the actors went through some shit, like they all really like it and they're just like the movie turned out great. Like Helen Hunt seems stoked on it, even though she got sunburned eyeballs. And so, like, I don't know. I would say it was worth it. I think it made its money back as a good movie. Like, the actors still, can kind of speak fondly of it, even though they went through some shit. Yeah, I don't know. I would say yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the stories are fascinating as far as like what happened with all the shit showiness, but it seems pretty run of the mill shit shows things. But like the lawsuits, I mean, who knows? We don't hear about any other lawsuits that happen all that much with like I'm sure there's other shit that happens, but those I think they were the most fascinating things about this. But I think I agree with Ray. Overall, acting was fine. I loved Helen Hunt. But yeah, no, it's a fun movie. It's I do think it was worth it. Yeah, I think it was worth it.
So I'm a little conflicted on it because I think that de Bont may have kind of like, we talk about like people being kind of dicks and you don't need to be.
Yeah.
And shoving people and not calling them incompetent and whatnot. Like
all for the art.
All for that. And
so, you could justify being a dick as long as the movie comes out okay.
Yeah, I mean William Friedkin is the same kind of thing where I don't know if he was that bad. Like Bill Paxton was saying, like there's just like a bunch of rumors. Like it's not necessarily exactly how it went down. But oh my God, the movie's so good.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
It is so fun. It is supremely well directed. It moves at such a clip. Like it is.
It's efficient.
It is efficient. Like it gets going and it does not stop. Even the low moments are very interesting. Like them just hanging out in the farm, just like like Meg's house and like the dinner, or the whole sequence where they're at the movie theater and it's just slowly racking up that tension.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's very silly, and you have to just kind of like, okay, the fact that they went into 5 tornadoes in 24 hours is kind of, but like it's just so cool.
Yeah, well, for a movie,
so much fun.
And for when we talk about movies and they ask for one ask, like I think that's a very reasonable one ask. Is that like there's 5 tornadoes in a 24-hour period, and one happens to be like a F5 finger of God.
Yeah, well, and each one gets increasingly
stronger,
bigger,
yeah.
and they're all within a distance of each other.
Yeah, for sure.
A drivable distance.
Yes.
I mean, I guess the was it worth it question. I know we do this on every episode because it's just like a fun way to wrap up like how we feel about the episode and what we thought about the story of like the behind the scenes and whatnot. And it's very subjective, and you could argue that's like any, a lot of people might be like any piece of art is worth like suffering if it comes out well or whatever. But then you also have like the other side of it where you could argue that any level of human suffering is not worth something as trivial as a movie.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, it doesn't...
And then put in perspective while you're sitting in Oprah.
Yeah, right. Unless you're literally making a movie and it's like a documentary because you're trying to like draw attention to an issue or something. It's like most movies are not important enough to be, like, to your point, like William Friedkin, right? Like the level of abuse that happened on that movie. Or on The Abyss, right? Like the level of abuse that happened on The Abyss. Incredible movie, but like you could always argue that any kind of suffering is like not worth a movie regardless of how incredible it is. But like then we wouldn't have any movies, you know? But like I think that we're hopefully moving into a situation where it's like you can still make a good movie and not be a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like let's like you can still care about people and like not abuse people and make good art. Like you don't have to suffer for your art,
While I don't necessarily like almost any of his movies, but Denis Villeneuve is widely considered one of the nicest guys in the industry.
Yeah.
And like his
people just
movies
love
are great.
him. Yeah. So yeah, you don't need to be a piece of shit.
Right.
On the complete opposite side, Twisters. Okay. So
is terrible. Spoiler alert,
Yeah.
it's terrible.
A sequel was never truly in the works until 2020, with a few ideas thrown around, including a pitch by Helen Hunt, who intended to direct, but the script was rejected. In 2022, Lee Isaac Chung was hired to direct after his critically acclaimed film Minari, which is not a visual effects film at all, and directing 1 episode of The Mandalorian. I'm going to get on a soapbox, but this is not a soapbox because this is bullshit. This is not a political thing because our livelihoods are not political. The film never mentions climate change, like quite deliberately.
Yeah.
It goes out of its way. And this is what Chung said. I wanted to make sure that we are never creating a feeling that we are preaching a message, because that's certainly not what I think cinema should be about. I think it should be a reflection of the world.
Well, yeah, a reflection of the world is that climate change is a reality. So it is very annoying that the movie never mentions climate change, because it dances around it in a lot of ways where it's just like,
There's a handful of like, oh, things are getting worse lately.
like, wow, there's sure are an awful lot of tornadoes happening lately. Anyone notice that? It's just like, what? It's weird that no one ever says that, like, globally temperatures are rising, which is creating unprecedented weather events, and that, like, we need to be studying these so that we can, like, you know, warn people or whatever. Like, it doesn't ever say that.
It could be just a quick thing, just being like, the earth is warming and things are getting worse. And that's all it really needs to be. But that's not preaching a fucking message.
Yeah, that's
And
fact.
Also, like,
I can't wait to read the YouTube comments. I'm so excited.
Gird your loins, prepare yourself.
It's like, and I don't think cinema should be preaching a message. Yeah, but it should be a reflection of the world. Well, guess what? Reflecting the world, you're pushing, no matter what you were, like you say, like, art is inherently political. You're automatically taking a stand about something.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know, it just drives me crazy. And so watching that movie where there was just like, it could have easily thrown it in there. Now, all that said, the movie's still trash.
Yeah.
Like, we watched it and it was like, Ray was kind of like already like,
I was like, this movie sucks.
Yeah, fuck this movie, and just burn it all down. And I was trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. And then there's a turn halfway through the movie. If you've seen it, it's when they go to a barn house. The movie broke me. It broke me. It was so bad. It was so bad. The dialogue was so tropey. The relationships didn't make any sense. The filmmaking rules, not to get nerdy, the 180-degree rule was being broken left and right. Like, it was baffling. It was crazy.
So the thing that it was really bothering me even from the beginning of the movie was, I really hate this place we've gotten into with Hollywood, where they're basically they're like, look, every movie that you loved from your childhood, from the 80s and 90s, we're just going to redo that, but we're going to, like, it's going to be worse. And we're just going to, like, replace the cast with it's going to be all, like, CW kind of, like, young actors that are all, like, hot.
That's what we kept calling this, the CW remake.
The CW remake.
Because that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And
Tornado hits Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of. And I'm like, it's just really bugging me. And I just wish they would stop doing it. Because, like, we didn't need Twisters. It's not a good movie. It's beat for beat almost the exact same movie as Twister. Didn't add anything new to the conversation because it didn't mention why more Twisters are happening. It didn't mention climate change. There was nothing, like, relevant to the current conversation, you know?
And the conceit of the idea is that the main character joins Carrie Elway's team. That's essentially the idea. Like,
Right.
what if your hero was on the other side?
Yeah.
And, like, from that perspective. So that was it's inherently an interesting idea. It doesn't
Just
tie into
doesn't-
the old movie at all. Like, they call it a standalone sequel. So there's nobody shows up that's from the other movies.
Just the tornadoes.
Yeah.
That's the only
I mean,
recurring character.
right, exactly.
That's the recurring
Yeah.
character.
Wait,
And-
wasn't there a credit that said, like, based on characters by Michael
Crichton.
Crichton? And it's like, what characters? The tornado? He wrote it. That was the character?
So anytime another movie comes out with tornadoes, Michael Crichton
Gets
consume it.
credited.
Yeah.
That's my character.
Yeah.
The tornado is mine.
Yeah.
You have to write based on characters by Michael Crichton, and then he gets a kickback.
Yeah. That was his deal.
Yeah, it's full of just, like, the 96 version has an awesome score. It's so ridiculous and it's so fucking awesome.
good.
It's hummable, and you just, like, that random rock guitar and it's great. This is just full of needle drops where I'll go from a pop song to country and you're just like, why? Like it just
so many so many country songs.
and then it tries to have its
Well, now
theater.
I'm glad I didn't watch it.
It has its theater moment where it's all like everybody's outside and it's nighttime and oh no, a tornado just happens to be right here, and it is done so poorly that at a certain point we just stopped going. We're watching a movie for the podcast to like, this is a bad movie night now. Because this movie is infuriating.
So if you
bad.
listener, if you haven't seen either Twister or Twisters, just watch Twister.
Just watch Twister.
Twisters literally does not need to exist. Yeah, just watch Twister.
Yeah.
It's way better.
All right, follow-ups.
Follow-ups.
An update on The Day the Clown Cried. We mentioned that it would be released in 2024. That wasn't actually the case. Library of Congress was like, Jerry Lewis gave us all the footage and some of the audio, but none of it's synced, and there's no like release plan. We just have reels. Like it's not an edited movie. And so
just send it here. Just give it to me. I'll take care of it.
It's in the so people are allowed to go look at it.
Oh, people are allowed to go to the Library of Congress and watch unsynced raw footage?
Yeah, exactly.
How fun.
Yeah, I know. And
well, if it's a library, can't you check it out? Check your library card to be like, I want to check out all the all the footage for The Day the Clown
Someone
Cried.
did, because they made a documentary about it, and it comes out in Cannes this year.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
Cool.
we'll see.
Okay, so some professional filmmakers checked out the raw footage.
Yes.
And then made a documentary.
We're crazy enough to want to do that.
Yes.
I just love the idea of someone coming to bring their county library card. Like, I just want to check out this footage.
Here's this palette of film
Of reels.
reels.
Ooh, actually, I'm going to need the reel-to-reel machine as well, because two's got one of those.
And you got some
around.
like poor old librarian who's like, these are due back in 1 month.
I'm going to need a flatbed, editing editor as well. Just all the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then this one was from Tombstone. So we heard from Jeffrey on Instagram, and he said, as someone who lives in Arizona, Tombstone is a real town with some modernist buildings.
There you go, Clint.
Okay. All right.
But it is more of a historical town that's preserved. You can go to the OK Corral, and all the streets look like it's the 1800s. They actually have actors dressed up as cowboys who kind of just go about their lives on the streets and restaurants and saloons of Tombstone. Really cool place to check out.
That's like, if I retire, that's something that I would fucking do. Like, I'm gonna move to Tombstone, Arizona. I'm gonna walk around in some cowboy garb, and I'm gonna be like, howdy, ma'am. Like, just fucking around.
And
Practicing
Lisa's
your
like, no.
improv skills. She's like, I don't want to live in Arizona.
Yep.
All right. We got some follow-up on the Beverly Hills Cops episode.
This is my favorite comment.
Stephen Newhouse said, you missed the best name for Wonderworld money. Wonder Bread.
That's amazing.
I'm just like,
That's
you're
so great.
fucking hired, Stephen.
Yep. You're hired.
Hey, you, the YouTube commenter. You want to come write puns for a podcast? Yeah, Wonder Bread. Incredible. Yep. Well done, Stephen. And then Andrew Chambers said, geez, you guys, it's so freaking easy to call out a movie for where the cast and crew made mistakes. But do you ever mention that, like, making stuff is hard, especially in the entertainment industry where big egos, bigger budgets, and just plain bad luck can make things go horribly wrong? And then he followed that up with, I'm also curious how I get a mention on your show. Anyway, big fan. Keep it up.
That's how you do it.
An excellent troll.
That was a very good job.
You troll us in a fun way, and you'll get a mention. Yeah, don't actually troll us. You will not get a mention that way.
Yeah, no.
All right. And then we got a couple of Spotify things to call out here. So Greg Hart 15 on Spotify said, hey, shit show crew, I feel obliged to mention that my college friend group also had a Clint, and he was relentlessly bullied and harassed despite being the nicest dude ever. Must be something about the name Clint. Catch y'all on the airwaves soon.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be. Well, the thing about hopefully Greg Hart's friend from college, Clint, was also able to like dish it out as well.
Yeah.
Because like I'm fine being made fun of because I'll just throw it right back.
But we edit that out mostly.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's why I get such a reputation on the show. But what they don't see is that like Yeah, I'll fuck you guys up. It's just as much sometimes, so it works out.
Clint can take it.
I can take it.
All right. And then Jimmy Beadle on Spotify said, I found this podcast a few weeks ago and have now listened to every episode. I love it. My friends and family do not, since I keep telling them random trivia about movies they don't care about. 10 out of 10. Y'all are awesome. Can't wait for more episodes.
Did you know there was a movie called Roar
Yeah.
where the cinematographer almost he straight up got scalped?
Yeah. We need to put a disclaimer at the start of this that's like, side effects may include boring your friends and family with irrelevant movie facts that
right.
they don't care about. Yeah,
We're
sorry.
just as bad as CrossFit and Scientology.
We're like, a couple episodes away from becoming a cult. So
Yes.
there
Oh,
you
yeah.
go.
Oh, the cult of Clint.
No, the cult of shit show. You don't get your own cults
I fucking
automatically.
do get my own cult. Me and this
Taking over.
Me and
It's
this
you
other
and that one.
Clint.
you, that other Clint, and then that one guy on YouTube who always
yeah.
commenting.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. North Americana said, one of my favorite podcasts. It's a combination of deep research and fun friends improving. It feels like the podcasts of old, where it's a couple actual friends talking a shared passion for movies, whether that's classics or disaster cash grab blockbusters. I always learn something new and laugh a lot. A must subscribe and download kind of pod.
Oh, thank you.
So anyway, yeah, thanks everybody for your comments, your reviews. We love reading these, and we're going to try to keep, highlighting some reviews and comments on each episode. And what's this? I just got our newest edition of Variety magazine, or whatever other types of filmmaking magazines, and we have some meddling executives that we need to tell flattering lies about.
All right, so our first one is Diego S., and they are the world premiere collector of champion dog racing bones.
Wait, they collect the bones after the dog
After the dog has died, they collect the
Wow.
bones of those championship race dogs.
All greyhounds.
All greyhounds.
Not
Just
a corgi into that bunch.
room
Nope.
full of greyhounds. I mean, corgis are deceptively fast, but
Yeah.
just a room full of greyhound skeletons.
Yep. All immaculately preserved.
Yes.
It's just the bones. You go to a dinosaur museum, it's just the bones of the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's what this is, which is the greyhound bones. There's no
And
stuff.
they're like mid-stride.
mid-stride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They love dog racing. They love greyhounds.
Just
they
like-
love bones.
But they don't want to have their own dog because then the dog will be getting all the bones.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, so
yeah.
you really
Don't
must...
mess up my whole thing.
They're like, oh, you collect dog bones. You must be a real big dog lover. Like, no, they ruin my dog bones.
I don't much care for getting dog hair on my furniture. The bones, there's no hair involved.
There's no hair.
They're very
There's
clean.
no.
They're very
Yep.
clean.
Exactly. Yep. So, Diego's giving us some of that. Those bone bucks.
Bone bugs.
Next one.
Ryan is an ant wrangler. The world's premier wrangler of ants.
Whoa! So he has like little tiny like lassos.
The smallest lassos.
Oh, yeah.
Just teeny tiny.
Wow.
Like watching him at work wrangling those ants, like just like it's incredible. Incredible.
That is fascinating.
And what he does with those ants after they're wrangled, I don't know.
I've been to his house, and there are just a ton of like those ant colonies. Those big ones behind glass, and like those little dudes like have got like advanced societies.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's
that's how he recycles everything.
Yeah.
He just puts it in with the ants, and they just eat all of it.
yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
He's completely sustainable because of his ants.
Just his ants. Yep. Renewable sources of energy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sustainable, renewable ant colonies
Yep.
in your walls.
First he wrangles them, then he trains them, and then he's just living off his ants.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ryan.
Ryan, for the money.
Next one is Hemichanga, and they are, if you don't know, they're on Twitch and they're streaming, but their whole shtick is just chimichangas.
just mukbang.
Just a
They're just doing
chimichanga
mukbang.
thing.
They're just eating in front of a camera.
Well, it's not just that, right? They wanted to elevate it a little bit. So they go into their recipes of like how they make the chimichanga, which tortillas they use, what kind of oil they fry them in, because peanut oil might be a little bit different than like, I don't know, just regular oil that you see like at, a fast food place. So they go into all that. It's very educational. Chimichanga education from Hemichanga. And then, then they eat it. They stuff it right up in their face. Yeah.
It's like a 6-hour process. process. He's streaming the entire time.
Entire time. Yep.
For chimichanga, like they have to sit on the toilet for quite a while, making chimichangas every night.
Yes.
Which is also live streamed, by the way.
Start to finish.
Yes. That's the Hemichanga promise.
Yep. No job is complete until the paperwork is done.
And that's a good night for me, guys. Remember to flush.
Yeah. Dabbing the sweat off their face.
Meat sweats are bad tonight.
Yeah.
He's like, let's go to the toilet meter.
Speaking of streamers, we got it. We have to talk about our next meddling executive. Clarissa doesn't explain it all.
She
Now,
is
she is
notorious for not explaining anything.
Yeah, and this executive, they are revealing the truth and getting down to the bottom of all those episodes and explaining why they're wrong. And truth to power, man.
Yeah.
Truth to power.
Yep.
But in the true spirit of not explaining it all, Clarissa also does not explain to us like how she makes her money or like where it comes from or how it comes to us.
Yeah,
Like we have no idea.
And we don't ask. We
don't ask. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just know
Dark money.
Yeah,
we're fine with it.
Yeah, we just know we're just not going to get anywhere with it. But yeah, Clarissa just gives that Clarissa cha-ching.
Cha-ching. But we are clueless
Yeah.
on that how that cha-ching makes its way to us. But
Look, it's plausible deniability.
yeah, like she's like, listen, you don't want to know, you don't want to get involved, and
Yeah,
we're
she's
like,
she's
we're fine
protecting
with
us.
that.
Well, she's getting into things that, like, I mean, I just don't think the public is ready to hear yet. And so,
Yeah.
like, that money, like, that could expose us all. Especially, Clarissa is making sure that, like, Melissa Joan Hart doesn't come for us.
Right.
So, I mean,
notoriously litigious.
yeah.
She will break our knees.
She's like, how dare you claim that I didn't explain anything on my show? I explained it all.
Yeah.
The premise was in the title.
Yet it was, it went past one episode. I figured like all the explaining would happen. See, this is why we have Clarissa
This
sitting
is
there
how
going
we
into it
implicit, yeah.
and figuring out why nothing was explained.
None of it.
Anyway, but thank you, Clarissa, for
that unconfirmed amounts of money.
And then our next meddling executive is Ju Young, and they were just promoted from a method director to a meddling
Oh,
executive.
there you go.
I heard they got all that money from being inside of a ball pit.
Yeah, class action lawsuit. They got stuck in a
A
ball
ball
pit,
pit.
couldn't get out, and they were there for days.
Have you or a loved one ever gotten stuck in a ball pit?
They kept screaming, but they just kept getting a mouthful of ball pit balls.
And kids just jumping on them and
Yeah.
just would not
just
would not stop. And
Pushing
nobody
you,
would save
pushing
them.
you
Yep,
down,
yep.
down. And then later, they went on Oprah to talk about their real survival story of being trapped in a ball
In
pit.
a ball pit. Yep.
And ironically, it's not where all their money came from. It wasn't from the class action lawsuit. It was just all the money they found at the bottom of the
the
ball
ball
pit.
pit.
Yeah, they're just gathering change.
Yeah, you get the pit pennies. Pit pennies.
Yeah, you
you
get
got
the
those pit
pit pennies.
pennies. And then
They really add up,
yeah,
add up.
they really do.
And,
Lots of
and now
pennies
and now
in
they
there.
just go around to just tour the world, just diving into ball pits because they know how to survive.
Yep.
And they know how to get all that money out of the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of immersion therapy, right?
Yeah.
Like you just you just got to get back in that pit. You just got to get back in there, get those pennies.
Yeah, they're currently on tour too with their new book called The Pits. Doing book signings. The true story.
It's the pits.
Yeah.
It's like that tagline.
Oh,
It
balls.
sucks. Yeah.
Oh, balls.
The pits. Oh, balls. That's going to eventually be the poster tagline of the movie that they make about this
Yeah.
this horrible tragedy.
Not starring Brad Pitt.
That not starring Brad Pitt. No, his brother Ball Pitt.
Yeah. So we're getting those pit pennies.
Pit pennies.
Pit pennies.
Yeah, thanks, Ju Young. And congrats on your promotion.
And thank you, all of our meddling executives. We really wouldn't be doing any of this fun nonsense if it wasn't for y'all.
Right, exactly. So if you want to be a meddling executive, you go to patreon.com/itwasashitshow, become a meddling executive, and we will tell flattering lies about you on an episode.
Can't guarantee that they'll be flattering.
Yeah. They
But
might just be straight up lies.
but it'll be fun.
But hopefully you'll laugh about it.
And tell your family and friends, like, they mentioned me and they said that I collect dog bones.